Hi, everybody. So, welcome back to the interview. Today, with us, we have Aries, and joining me will be Gideon.
Hey.
Hey, hey, hey.
I, I hope everybody had like a good day because this is going to be a very interesting chat. Because Aries, he had like one of a kind type of journey in Ready to Love. But before we go into the interview, um, condolences to your father because I felt like that was like a major part of your story and how you like align to some of the guys. But before we go, can you please briefly introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, so I'm Aries. I am an Aries, so my name is not just cute. I'm actually a real Aries, and I am a full-on Aries.
Um,
I'm actually originally from California. I've been living in Dallas about. I just made my 16th year in Dallas, so I'm pretty established here at this point. Um, I wish they would have done like a cast special or something like for the show because I feel like you
they
all did.
used to do that before.
I don't know. I'm like, you really didn't get a lot of like our personalities and what we're doing in life. I work for a software sales company. I just in July moved into a new role as a consultant, mostly focusing like on our larger clients. So more about client experience. I was doing sales for some years, but now I'm helping save some customers that spend a lot of money. But I also do a lot in the community around getting other Black people in tech, specifically Black women in sales and in other areas of tech. And I used to be the president of a nonprofit here in Dallas for women in tech. And now I'm advising that organization so I don't have to do as much work. But yeah, I got my two boys. They are in middle school and they are amazing. I mean, they make my life so much easier because they don't give me any problems. Straight A students, athletes,
Oh,
doing their damn thing. I'm just super blessed. So, yeah, that's me.
Okay.
so
Congratulations on that. I definitely know how it is being a mom and a boy mom. Like, honestly, I say my boys are way easier than my girls. Like,
How many
hands
kids do you have?
down. I have two girls and three boys.
Woo! Girl, I don't know how you do it. Child. I can't
that's
do it.
that's a full
So,
house.
I guess, but I'm telling you, boys are so easy. Like, the worst thing you have to, like,
Oh,
worry about. Listen, like, my girls, okay, so one, I have an Aries, and who child?
You already know. And
Just that right there alone is enough.
both my boys are Leos, so it's like fire all the time. But they
Hmm.
are just like I feel like the type of parent I am, especially my youngest son, he is me. Like he is little me, basically. Very strong-willed, stubborn. Like you can't
Yeah.
do anything that he doesn't want to do. I mean, I can, but I try to parent him the way I wanted to be parented because I was a very independent child. I feel like when you come up with parents that are boomers, they feel like it's because I said so, and they don't like to explain things. And
Mhm.
yeah, I didn't really trust them. I was like, y'all don't know. I know things. So I feel like
Right.
because I know that about him, I parent him a little more strategically because I can't just come at him telling him what I think. I have to do it kind of in a sneaky way to get him to go along with what I what I want him to do.
for me,
Yeah.
that did not happen. It beats my ass.
You have girls,
No,
you have kids.
hell no.
Oh, I'm one of those people, and I'm terrible. My friends will tell you, like, I'm the one that I'm like, I will not be encouraging people to have kids. I love my kids, but I'm like, listen, it ain't. If I would have known what it takes, and this is a lifelong thing. I'm like, ooh, that's a long commitment to have to be, responsible for somebody. So I tell my girlfriends who don't want kids, I'm like, do not ever feel bad for not wanting no kids because it costs a lot of money and it's a lot of stress. But I am blessed to have some really good kids that make it a lot easier. So
Right. Like when you have kids like that are actually good, like you said, honor roll, playing sports, like you're busy, but it's easy because you're kind of like on a schedule. You kind of already know what to expect when it comes to certain things. But like I'm with you. I don't encourage people. If you don't want kids, honey, you're stay how you are. Okay. Like don't let anybody pressure you because woo-hoo.
And they have a sister. She's 24. She when I got with their dad, she was like 5. So I've been through the girl phases as well. So I got my taste of having a girl because that middle school for girls is a beast. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. It is evil. Evil.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
13-year-old club and up once that it's like I don't know, it's like as soon as they hit 13, it's something about that number because it's just like all hell breaks loose. They lose their minds, forget who they are, where they came from. And it's just like,
I was
I
the
don't
same
even,
way. 13, 14, 15. I was like, I don't want another me because me and my mom were not friends at all. I was like, she's
right. So
So
can you like tell us like how many times you've been married? Because you did speak about being married. Like how many
you
times have
gave
you
me
been
a hard
married?
time.
Can you tell us kind of like how that ended, how that went, like a little bit about it?
Yes. Hey, best friend. One of my best friends in the chat. I've been married
Hey,
twice.
best friend.
Yes, I've been married twice. I was married when I was 22 years old. So, I was listening to some of that Ebony K. Williams about getting married at a young age. And I'm like, 100% do not recommend. But yeah, I was married for 5 years and it was very church folk kind of pressured. I come from a very strong
Christian.
Christian Pentecostal holiness, Jesus only. Y'all saw my mom on the show, okay? So that's my background. Like I was raised in that from a child. So they're very big on like if y'all date more than 6 months, what y'all doing? Because you need to get married. Like that is very, very pushed. And so my first husband, my best friend, not the marriages. My ex-husband is currently a full-time pastor. I don't know if he's full-time, but he's a pastor. He was a youth pastor at the time when we got married. So that'll let you know how deep and rooted that was in church life. So, I mean, I'm not gonna get into all the particulars. It was just very much not it should not have happened in the beginning. And so that 5 years was a 5-year trying to make it work. And I really was the type of person where I just knew once I got married, I was never going to get a divorce. Like I was so bent on that because I do not come from a family where my parents stayed married. Both of my parents been divorced, and stuff like that. So I was just like, I'm going to get married and I'm not going to get divorced. So I really tried hard to make that work, even though it was kind of doomed from the beginning. And so that was a really hard decision for me because I did know that I wanted to have kids and I just knew that I wasn't going to have them with him. And so that was kind of my factor of like, I could just stay in, I could have stayed in it and just stayed, but I'm like, I want to have kids. And I know that when you have children, you are permanently connected to this person. And so, yeah, that was the decision making piece for me that I knew I did not want to have my life connected to this person forever. And so that was that.
Yeah.
I actually moved to Texas right at that point is when I came here with my job and went to graduate school and things like that. And so the boy's dad and I used to work together in California. He basically followed me here. I was not thinking about him. I was out here like, let me see what this Southern hospitality is talking about, and not thinking about getting into another relationship. But, when a man is very persistent and it took him about 2 years to convince me to even date him. And eventually, once I left the company, because I don't believe in dating people that you work with, that's just not it. But I left the company, and then me and him dated, and we got married, and then we had these 2 beautiful kids, and we stayed married also for 5 years. I don't know, is that my number? Is 5 the number? I don't know, but I maybe 5 is my number. I don't know, but yeah. So we I do again that background that I have is big on like I will say why marriage is such a thing for me is that like I'm not gonna live with nobody. I'm not about to be, like you're not getting no marriage benefits out of me if we not married. So marriage is kind of like more stable to me as far as like the commitment of the relationship. So it made, some people were like, who does she think she is? She didn't even marry twice. They want to throw me in the trash. They like, she's just terrible. And I want to be like, how many relationships have you had in the last, 20 years? But for me, I was a baby, I married both of them in my 20s. I was divorced at 34 years old when I had my two kids. They were 2 and 4 when we got divorced, and I am 44 right now. So I've been divorced for 10 years, and I have not had anybody around my kids. I have not, I focused on my kids those first couple of years, like really the first 5 years was like, I'm not even thinking about a man or trying to bring nobody into my life like that. I was really focused on establishing a co-parenting relationship with my ex-husband and making sure we were solid, before I even got into all that. So really, I've only been dating the last, like, I don't know, 6 years, so for me, it's like, I don't I don't like the dating world that like it is today. From dating in my 20s when
It's
dudes were
raggedy.
trying to impress you, they were, courting you, bringing you flowers. Like their dad worked really, really hard to get me. Okay. Like he was doing all the things. So that's what I come from. So when I'm in this new dating world, what don't know? Like I don't give a half ass.
We're all struggling here.
Yeah.
Listen, it is definitely a struggle. And nowadays, like, you got so many apps, you can't trust it. Like, even back in the day, like, we had chat lines, you know what I'm saying? You call on the chat line and talk and stuff like that. Like, but even that was, you know what I'm saying? They was catfishing then, so you really couldn't trust it.
Yeah.
And,
Do
you know,
online dating well. I tried it a couple of times. Like you just create a profile. I go through and I look. I'm like, I'm like, no. See me, I'm too picky to be looking at a picture and all that. I'd rather meet someone organically because I'm more likely to meet that same guy in person and be more open to it than to like criticize your whole profile and be like, his grammar and why he say that and that picture, look at what you had on. Like I'm judging too much. So I'm better at just meeting someone organically.
You can say that again. Because I keep telling my friends that all these dating apps, they don't really work most times. It works for some people, but I don't know, maybe I'm just not lucky, I guess.
Yeah.
So now let's get into Ready to Love.
Yes. Let's do it.
How and why did you even apply?
So when Ready to Love announced that they were coming to Dallas, I had probably 5 or 6 people message me the casting thing. Like, you need to apply, which I am a fan of the show. And I always was like, I would never go on this show. Like, I would never. I've been on another dating show before. It was a virtual dating show that was on YouTube. I mean, no, not YouTube, on Kept on Stage Studios streaming service. And it was during COVID. And it was basically like this right here. And you go on 3 dates with a guy that the audience picks for you. And then, so you got to just take whoever they give you, basically. And child, that guy was like a Kevin Samuels red pillar. So it was like torture for the first 2 dates. The third date was a group date, so it wasn't as bad. But basically, you're supposed to meet in LA with the rest of because of 2 other couples, and have a real life date. And then you determine, do you want to continue dating this person? And we were all through Texas. The guys are mostly in Houston, actually. And then he ended up, because of the red pillness, it was like very contentious and combative. And hold on, wait. Okay. And so that's the drinking game, y'all. Okay. And And it was just crazy. Like he literally FaceTimed me and like went off. He was all mad that he was like, I make $1 million a year and you're not throwing yourself at me because most women throw themselves at me because of my looks. I mean, I've never heard some of the things that came out of that man's mouth. It was psychotic. So anywho, he didn't show up to LA. He was just so mad that I was not on him. Like he wanted me to just be on him. And I was just like, calm down, not my type. But yeah, so that didn't go well. So that, you know, and so some of the people who are fans of that show, they were all like, Aries, y'all picked the wrong person for her. She needed another go around, you know, whatever. So a lot of the people from that were messaging me about this. And so I just gave it a try. Again, I don't do online dating. I've been dating, you know, out here in Dallas. I have no issue meeting men. Like you know, that's not a problem. But it was just something to do. Again, I'm an Aries. I'll jump. I'll take a risk, you know, and see how things are. And I just was like, what the hell? You know, how many chances you get to, you know, do something like this? And I figured if I apply and I make it to the end, then, you know, make not the end of the show, but make it into the process, then I'll be like, okay, well, it must be meant to be for me to be on here if I can make it through all these people that are going to apply. So I just took a chance.
Okay.
I guess you should have checked the history of the show.
You said what?
You should have checked the history of the show.
I mean, I saw the show. I was like, all you need is one. All you need is one person. You know, you got certain people that Joy and Clifton, they met on that first mixer and was like, okay, then you never know, right? So I'm like, hell, if it don't, then it always the same as what I've been doing. So no big deal. But yeah.
So if given another chance, would you do it again?
Hell no. Hell to the no. Absolutely not. So yeah, no. Do not recommend.
Why?
It is a strenuous process, and it was probably the most I've done since COVID as far as just being outside, being on camera. You gotta wear different clothes every single scene, do your makeup. I don't even wear makeup every day. So like to have to put makeup on every day, to smile, to talk to people, like it was just a lot, you know, and then the process, you know, it's certain points where I'm like, I just want to talk to the people that I want to talk to. I don't want to go on these random dates with people that y'all making me go on dates with that I have no interest in, and just doing a bunch of stuff that I don't like to do. So, you know, I would say like production to me, I was cool with everybody. I was cool with production. I really didn't have any beef with people on the show or any of that. I was pretty much neutral throughout the process, and didn't have, you know, nothing crazy like that going on. But it was just a lot of time out of my life.
So you guys had to do your own like hair and makeup and stuff?
Everything, clothes, makeup, hair, which this is my, whenever I wear makeup, I literally wear the same thing. Like this is the same makeup process, the same product, everything. And then the only thing you're going to probably get is a different lip. So I did that pretty much for everything. And then those interviews was the only time I got my makeup done, like by a professional.
Yeah, cheap. They're cheap as shit, but okay.
Yeah.
So now let's get into your journey, because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what many people want to know and ask about.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Your number one fan is saying, talk about a
Jason
janky
reviews.
production.
He's on the. I'm putting him on the front line. When somebody come for me, I'm gonna be like, get them because they are.
Right.
He's always here to defend you.
Yes.
Always. You got Stay Tuned, Braylon, and Q. Listen here, those are your three that's always gonna save you no matter what. They will jump in front of a moving train. So
yes, I love them.
So now talking about the show.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that when watching, like from the beginning of the show, you didn't really get much of a screen time. Actually, I'm just going to be frank. We didn't really notice it till about maybe episode 4 or 5. It was almost like you were invincible. And then you came on with the storyline with Chris and Phil. Do you think that they intentionally edited you that way, or did you have like connections prior to those scenes?
No. So I think that, and I'm trying to think, I did have some dates before Chris and Phil. I did not get my, so let's see, I'm thinking now, that date that y'all saw with me and Chris was probably 2 weeks into the process. And same thing with Phil, with the all black, that was like 2.5 weeks in. So I'm like, where are the dates with the people I'm trying to go on these dates with? Like, I kept trying to get the dates, but the guys were asking for dates with different people and stuff like that too. And so I had some dates with Maurier. I had multiple dates with Maurier. Y'all know Maurier had dates with every single woman on the show. Okay, every single woman on the show. And so I had
connection.
Maurier first, and then eventually I got on some dates with my actual connections, which were Chris and Phil.
Because I was really wondering, I was like, where did Aries come from? When we started the panel, I was like, Aries doesn't really have a storyline. Where's she? Then from nowhere, you and
I was
Chris, you
chilling
and
at
Phil.
home. There were times I'm like chilling. I'm like, why am I not going on dates? Like everybody was saying they were going on dates, and I'm like, hello, where are my dates at? So I don't
I
really
exist.
understand what they were trying.
Right.
And I also think that they have in their mind who they were thinking were going to connect before the show started. And we I think what happened with our cast is we shook all that up. We did not go with whatever they thought who was going to be, in alignment. It didn't happen like that at all. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense because it seemed like there was only like showing you when it was a group activity, like when it was like several people on a date. It wasn't like you personally showing your story and like your walk. It was like, oh, okay, well, this is everybody, and since she's a part of everybody, we got to shoot her.
Yeah, me
So,
and
yeah.
Quentin and I had a connection in the beginning. It was very quick because when we first met at the Mansion Mixer, he was the last guy to come in. He was the last person, and we were already doing all the, like him and Maurier were the last two guys that I spoke to at the end of the thing. Like when we finally saw each other, production actually had us meet because it was like, I see him over there, but I haven't had a chance to talk to this guy. And then when we met, it was like, he's an Aries too. So, and Aries see another Aries, we already like, you win it from the beginning. Like, hey. So we had great conversation, good time. It was good. So in the beginning at the mansion, I thought my connections were going to be Chris and Quentin. That was it from that point. Now, Phil and I had spoke, but he wasn't flirting. He wasn't like giving me any vibes. And I was just like, well, he's not going to be in the list. So when I got ready to walk out of the mansion, him and Maurier were sitting at the table, and he was like, "Yeah, so I'm gonna be trying to get some dates with you." And I was like, "Oh, you are? Like, I didn't know you were, gonna be trying to do that because I couldn't, I wasn't feeling that." And he was like, "Oh, yeah." I'm like, "Okay." So that was it. We didn't even exchange numbers or anything. I had Quentin and Chris. That was it. And then when we had the brunch, was the second time I saw Phil, and he was sitting down talking to Janelle. And I went over and was like, hello. And even Janelle was like, Aries. I was like, yeah, we're gonna talk. So she got up and I sat down, and then me and him talking from that point on, it was like we just talked like all the time. So yeah, that's kind of how he got it. He almost didn't make it.
That kind of answers like that was one of my next questions. Actually, it was like, did you have any other connections with any other cast members that we did not see? Since they really didn't show you too much, I didn't know if maybe you were able to date and they just for some reason didn't show it. So
I went on some dates with Maurier, but literally there was a point where I had to friend zone him on camera. They didn't show any of this because it was like Maurier was he was on it in the beginning and really trying to pursue until I basically friend zoned him on the phone, like through text. Kind of like, I'm gonna focus on my connections over here. Like, you're hecka cool. Mario had all the time in the world because he was calling everybody. We had like in the lounge, which is I think one of the reasons why Taquilla had kind of got mad at him in the beginning, because it was like that first lounge, everybody was like, "I'm talking to Maurier," he be going, "What?" Like, damn, he got time. So that was like a part of it, and then I had to like in that because I'm like, I can't, like, it's a lot. So I'm like, I'm just gonna focus
Yeah,
on
it seemed
my
everywhere.
yeah.
So Grand Marnier was sharing his
Making
stuff.
sure he
So
planted those seeds.
he was
Yeah.
making sure everybody had a shot.
You know,
So now let's talk about Chris.
yeah. What about him?
Chris is
Speaking
in
of
the
it,
chat,
hello,
and
Chris.
I
We
know
see you in
he
the
will.
chat.
I know
Hello.
Chris is going to come for me when I ask these questions.
Oh
But
Lord,
no,
okay.
no offense to Chris.
None will be taken.
So before we get into it, how did that whole connection come about? Because the show did not really give us like anything to work with. It just like it was sprung on us. We didn't just understand what
Yeah.
happened. So how did
So we talked with like, okay, so Chris, I've known of Chris for a long time through Run Club. Dallas is very small, so you're gonna know people. I knew Herbert before the show. I knew Chris before the show, but I knew Herbert better than anybody. Me and him, we've done a lot of work together, community stuff, nonprofit stuff, whatever, over the years. Chris is a guy who I would see out or at certain things. We have a lot of mutual friends, but we never talked. Like we never really talked or anything. I'd be like, oh, he's cute. You know, we would just flirt and see each other, but we really never pursued anything or went there. So my thought going into the mansion was like, if it's some dudes that I can flirt with, good. We can start with that because I'm gonna be liking people. Like, I really don't.
I understand?
So when I came down the stairs, Phil, Chris, and Jessica were the first three people there, and I was the fourth. So when I saw Chris, I was just like, yes, somebody I can flirt with, you know. So I was excited, and most of that day, I talked to Chris probably the most at the mansion. We talked a whole lot that day, so it was kind of like, okay, like you're here, so now we gotta, you know, let's see what's going on. Like, what are you talking about? So I learned so much about him. I'm like, wait, we really have a lot in common and stuff. And we talked about our kids. His daughter's the same age as my youngest son, and just a bunch of different things. So I'm like, okay, like, cool. So when we after the mansion, and even during the mansion, because it was a funny part where me, him, and Quent were sitting on the couch, and Habibi, because Habibi was trying to get my number all day, and I kept on ignoring him, acting like I didn't hear him. I was just like, I don't need this man to have my number at all. Like I stayed away from Habibi the whole time. And so me, him, and Quentin were sitting on the couch, and I was just like, okay, he's gonna be my connection, you know. And then Habibi came with his phone, like, give me your number. Right in front of Chris. He came like, give me your
The
number.
impression.
No.
I was like,
No.
look, I was like, I said, no, thank you. I'm good. I have all the numbers that I want to have right now. Like, I'm okay. And he was just like, I'm like, listen,
You
I'm
should
good.
have played that saxophone. Maybe never mind.
I'm good. And he was way younger. I wasn't interested. I'm like, we're not even about to play that. So that was that. But me and Chris, we talked on the phone like right after that, and was just like, okay, like we're here, so like let's talk. But I do feel like what happened, we got kind of lazy. We got kind of comfortable because it was like we were familiar with each other, so we weren't like going as hard as we would be with like a brand new person. So like Phil kind of rose up faster because it was like new and fresh and whatever. And so though Chris was still there, I feel like we didn't explore it as much as we should have during the process itself. So
Okay, so we saw you as most would, would call it, treat him more like a son slash friend.
why do y'all be saying that? That kills me.
That
Okay,
was the vibes we got.
y'all. Okay, I
That's what it was. So, like, were you interested in him? Like,
yes, Chris is fine. Like when I came to his house, I feel like the way that they showed that first
you're not
date,
gonna get me in trouble.
I was so nervous, and I was like, you looking good, smelling good. I was excited about it. But I think what it was too is that it is so new. Like there was a part where we had to switch scenes in the house. Like we were sitting at the table and we had to go to the couch or whatever. And I'm like, they had to pause the cameras to move us over. And like we took a shot and everything. Cause I'm like, it was just a lot of like stuff going on. But then when we had that moment on the couch, like what people weren't understanding is that when he started talking about his mom or if somebody started talking about their parent passing, like I was trying not to cry on camera. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I already knew I'm not about to be crying on this camera, looking all ugly and doing all this. So like, no, I worked too hard on this makeup. Like y'all not about to have me out here crying. So like I was trying to be cool, like trying to be woo 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 woo, but also like if I get too woo woo, I'm gonna be crying with you. So I'm trying not to like. I'm like, it's okay, everything's gonna be okay. You know.
So mommy mode kicked in because it was like, for me, I'm just gonna say honestly, it was the pat on the leg for me, like.
Yeah, it was. I know it definitely came off that way. I think that in the moment we both knew what it was. It definitely wasn't that. It was just more so like, I'm like, don't you dare start. Because if you start, I'm trying to like, I'm up here trying to, hold my own stuff back. I'm like, okay, like let's all righty, yeah. All right, So yeah, I can get how that could be, interpreted that way. But trust me, ain't no auntie vibes over here, honey. Ain't no mama vibes, ain't none of that. At all.
Yeah, because let's not talk about what we said on the panel that day. Let's
Yeah, yeah,
Don't-
let's move on. I'm pretty sure you was there and seen it. I'm pretty sure you've seen
yeah.
something.
yeah. So now,
But it's all
as the
love.
season progressed, yes, the season progressed, we noticed that at some point it just felt like you were giving excuses not to be with Chris. It was almost like you were trying so much or looking for a reason why you should go to Phil instead of Chris. Now, do you think that if you had pursued something with Chris, maybe it would have actually become something?
Um. Yeah. I mean, I think that Chris was working. Okay, he had other connections too, so it wasn't like he was just about Aries. He had other connections, and I think that because I only had him and Phil anyways. So for me, it was just between them. And I really think that even with Phil, like for instance, the way I managed the process for myself was I really didn't talk to other people about what I had going on. So like if I'm talking to Chris, I'm not talking about Phil. If I'm talking to Phil, I ain't talking about Chris. When they go to the gentleman's lounge, then y'all can find out whatever y'all need to find out in there. It ain't coming from my mouth. So I think even Phil kind of got a little, he started getting a little sensitive when he would go into the lounge and then Chris would be saying stuff about me. He like, oh, I don't even know. Well, I'm not telling you what's going on over here. So there was definitely others, I was connecting with both guys. But I think that also Chris had other connections and he was spreading his time there, to again, like I said, we were kind of getting lazy. So I kind of was like, well, he ain't really coming hard. Like, I'm not going to overly push it either. You know what I mean? So I think that I'm not a pusher upper. Like, I'm not pushing up on no dude. I'm gonna reciprocate. So like when we are in each other's presence, it was never an issue. Like even production would be like, y'all really got like just a real connection, when they would see us together, I feel like they would even see, that there is something there. Because I think that people, even our cast and production wanted Phil and Aries. Like they really wanted that because it was a genuine connection. It was not fake. It was like a real thing. And I think that because there weren't a lot of connections on the show, they really wanted to see that storyline flourish. And so it wasn't a lot of opportunities for me and Chris to build that. Again, we couldn't meet outside of the show and we, all that stuff either. So it was kind of like we're only seeing each other on camera. it's a little hard to do that. When y'all see the part when we were at the house and we were doing archery or whatever, me and him were doing that before production got there. We were up early that morning outside talking, drinking coffee, chilling, and then he was doing that. Literally, they came up while we were doing like, get the cameras, hurry up, get on. They wanted to get it on film. And I'm like, we were having our own moment. You know what I mean? Like,
because I knew he was sweating.
I'm like, we were not trying to do all that. But it was really a genuine moment. And so, you know, it's whatever.
So with that, how and when did you realize that you didn't want to pursue anything with Chris? Because it seems like y'all had like a lot of chemistry, and honestly, I kind of felt like y'all would have been good together. I mean,
it wasn't that I didn't want to. I didn't want him to go home. Like what they did show of my confessionals when all that went down at the house, I was not happy at all. Like I felt like it wasn't fair. I felt like he should have stayed. I did not think that if it was between him and Maurier, definitely he should have stayed. Period. That was my vote. It was a lot of drama around that when that went down. So yeah, I wasn't ready for him to go home. I still wanted him to stay. I wanted him to meet my mom. I wanted him to be there for the whole night.
Yeah, you know, we spoke on that. Him going home was wrong. I mean,
because
that it
where we
was
get all this connection from.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know.
Sad. So now let's talk about the whole.
Oh Lord.
Chris, don't come for me. So you've addressed this before, but I feel like this is an interview, so it needs to be said. So many people have had something to say about the fact that you always go to bat for Chris, especially concerning the whole combative comments and the slave comments with his ex. So it's like the servitude, yes. You know, people said it was, you know what people were saying in the comments? They were saying that, oh, he wants a slave, and then you were really like defending him. And people felt like, oh, it was giving some sort of like pick me vibes.
Yeah.
So what did you think about that whole thing?
First of all, I ain't never gonna pick me a day in my life, so y'all can calm down with all that. I think it was mainly because again, they were making it like he was a DV dude, like he about to slap the girl or something, you know. And I'm like, hold on, too much. It was just too much, like for me on that. And he's my friend, so of course I'm gonna feel a way about someone coming. I don't have many friends on the cast, okay, so people that I like still talk to and stuff, you know. So I feel like I just wasn't liking the narrative that it was.
That's fair.
Yeah, that was
because people were going in, even till now, people still have like something to say about it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you want somebody that's gonna cut you out, then I'm like, first of all, this man can't. Again, I'll say this just like I said it before. When it comes to how he talked to Jessica at the end, out of pocket, out of line, he knows that we've talked about it multiple times. He knows that he went way too far, 0 to 1,000. And that's that. Now, at the time with the combative, none of the girls was feeling like he was saying like that was a wrong word to use. So for whatever reason, if it was somebody who we felt like wasn't giving that energy, then we would not have. I mean, we would have taken up for that as well, right? Like, no, she's not competitive. Not to say that she's like gonna be argumentative or doing any of that. I think it was just the energy that we were just like, okay, well, that's the word that they want to use, then that's the word, you know, whatever. So I don't know. And I also know that because of what y'all saw with him at the end, that was kind of the narrative he was trying to paint the whole time, was that I don't want to be in a combative situation with the woman that I'm with, because he knows he's an emotional dude. He's sensitive himself. He doesn't want to do that. He's that type of dude that if it's a guy, he'll be like, okay, well, we can just fight, you know? if it's a woman, he doesn't want to have to go back and forth with a woman that he's with. And that was really what he was saying,
Mhm.
which is mainly why he did not say, I said she was combative at the moment when the two ladies were confronting him about it, because it was about to be a combative situation if he had said that. So either way, it was a lose-lose. I was actually upset at all the guys that day because I was like, first of all, y'all just sat there and got punked. I didn't like it. I was like, y'all acting like I scared or something. Like, speak up, So I was in the same position to the point of just like stand 10 toes down, and everybody should have been like, first of all, we don't got to tell you who said what, because it was said in the gentleman's lounge, and we don't need to say that. If you feel like you know who said it, then you need to take that up with the person who you think is the problem. We're not about to sit here and do no question and answer on who said what. Since when do we do that? We never do that. So that's what I felt. I was feeling more like, y'all need to tell them to hush, or whatever.
Mhm.
Literally that night, but when the cameras were gone, me, Phil, Maurier, and Chris were downstairs talking, and I told each and every one of them individually, like, y'all punked out. Like, I didn't like it. I was on the edge of like wanting to say something myself, because I just know that how stuff ends up on camera. Y'all have seen it already. When someone says something and they go back and forth, it looks ugly. It looks like mess. And who I am as a person, I would have been like, what are y'all doing? Like, this is not, these are grown men. We're not about to sit here questioning these dudes like this, whatever. But I was just like, see, we're not about to have Aries on camera arguing with nobody over no dudes. Because ain't none of y'all my man. So we really not about to do that. But if it was my man, if any of them was my man, I definitely would have probably been the one that said something. But they weren't.
I mean, yeah, when it came to that, I feel like Maurier played more of a part with that because he could have changed the words and not even used it.
That was
Like,
my whole thing. I'm like, he admitted that he knew that she did not like that word before, at the point where it all became a thing. It was like,
mhm.
I knew she didn't like that word. And I'm like, how do you know she didn't like the word? Had y'all talked about this word before? Apparently somebody must have went back and
Yeah,
said that Chris was saying combative before. Because he
there was
did not.
definitely a lot of that conversation happening.
Yeah, and I was just like, because she had mentioned in the lounge on the show, y'all saw where she was like, he mentioned it on the date with the ex, and I'm like, when? Because I didn't see it, and you left 5 minutes after me. So why would he be saying that on the date with the ex? I didn't hear him say it on the date with the ex, and it wouldn't have even been in
Mhm.
context to say something like that on the date with the ex. So I was just like, nah, I think somebody else is telling you what's going on in the gym. And that's probably why you already knew that she didn't like the word. And now we all know it's Chris. Okay, well, it is. And you know who said, you already knew who said it. So why are we going through
Right.
this? Like, that to me was just like messy, and I didn't like it. And so it is what it is. I definitely told each and every one of them, look, I'm not scared of nobody. I'll say what I want to say.
Right.
All you guys know exactly what I say to each and every one of them, including Phil, who I felt like was the first one that not caused it, but like created the division that the guys felt like they needed to say that they didn't say something. Because I'm like, you the first one, like, well, I didn't say it. Shut up. Like, why would you?
Right.
So that kind of was irritating. But I think that it was just one of those situations where the magnifying glass was getting put on people, and people felt like, I'm like, I'm not that type of person. I'm like, just you ain't got a trip, whatever. It is what it is.
Well, I mean, if you're speaking the truth about something, then it's the truth. Like, people are always going to combat the truth, especially if they live a lie. That's one thing we know for sure.
Right.
So you looking at me, Ucha, like I was about to take a drink. I was, but
Oh,
don't look at me like that through that camera, okay? Listen. So currently, what's your status with Chris, and is there a future there?
Chris and I are friends. We go out. We we're still hanging out.
Hanging out. Y'all hanging out.
What kind
Okay.
of hanging out?
Right, y'all hanging out. I'm good.
Listen, we're both single. We're both, able to still do stuff.
Listen, y'all both look good, so I feel like, If it's there, it's there. Like, who's to say anything? Who's to combat that relationship? Listen, Eric
Guys, I've
started
been
it. Okay, you looking at me, but I didn't start this. Okay, I did not.
you are.
So let's talk about feel.
Let's talk about it.
So, what exactly, like, why did you choose it? Like, what was up? Okay, what was the whole thing with Phil? Tell me, like,
So
why was Phil even on your radar?
Phil and I really started through text and phone calls. The timeline is kind of like the hoedown was like a week and a half after the first meeting. So we didn't see each other. I was not on any group dates with Phil. I didn't know none of the stuff with Taquilla, those dates. I don't know nothing about nothing until the reunion. I'm like, why she got beef with Phil? What's the problem? Like, I don't even know none of that. Because I didn't have any group dates with him. Literally, I saw him at the hoedown. That's what if they actually had shown more of us at the hoedown, me and Phil was in each other's face the whole hoedown. Like literally. To the point where I was like, go talk to some other girls because we don't want you getting voted off. Go on and I didn't walk him around like Jessica did Chris. I just sent him to go talk to people. I'm like, go talk to other people because we was all up in each other's face the whole time to the point where like everybody was like, okay, what is this? When did this start? How did this happen? You know, but it was all mostly on the phone. We were just laughing about different stuff, seeing about stuff we had in common, jokes. Like we were just laughing at Martin and, you know, different things, music, more just a genuine vibe. You know, it wasn't super deep. It was just kind of like, okay, you're cool. Like I wasn't getting this energy before. Okay, whatever, you know. In between these other dates that we have to go on and all this stuff, you know, that we have to do. And then the at the hoedown, that was the first time when we were just kind of like, okay, I'm like, oh, he kind of like for real now, you know. And then we still didn't get another date, get an actual date for like a week. So everybody going out with other people and group dates and all this other stuff up until that first date that y'all saw us with the black on. That was our first one-on-one date. And you know, so it was very limited to how we could interact, but yeah, it was real. It was like really good energy. I think that we just it just flowed, you know, it just flowed. And then again, in between all this other stuff. So by the time we had another date that they didn't show. I want to say like one or two other dates that they didn't show where he came to my house. Like I had a private chef come over and help us, had us teach us, do like a cooking class with us. And I went and got like these craft beers that he had mentioned on the phone one time. Like I'm very observant. Like I'm the type of person where like I'm listening. I put notes in my phone. I know like how you like your coffee. I know the type of stuff you like. Like I keep little notes so that when an opportunity comes up for me to do something nice, then I'm like, oh yeah, this is what he liked. He said he liked to go to this place, you know, and stuff like that. So like we were really vibing for real. I think that once we got to, it wasn't into the last two episodes that y'all even that any of the issues that I had with him even were spoken of, you know, or kind of brought to the surface. But I started feeling like there was a lot of, I'm 44, okay? So like the fluffy stuff is cute to get you interested, but I need depth. I need to know who you are, what you got going on, what are you trying to do with your life? Like, I'm not just kicking it with people just to be kicking it, you know, like where are you going? And if you're talking about leading me somewhere, where are you leading me to? Can I trust you as a leader? Do you have leadership abilities? Are you showing a track record of you being good at these things, you know, or whatever? So that's what I'm looking at. And I think that that's what what I was bringing up wasn't getting addressed directly. And I noticed that there was the you're kind of dancing around the actual answers. And then I didn't feel like, I knew what Phil did for a living. I knew Phil had a job. He is not broke. It wasn't about finances. It was about where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you trying to go? And I feel like he would tell me certain things off camera. And then when we get on camera, it sounds totally different. And I was just like, are you purposely not trying to answer this on camera? Like, for real? Or what? And so that was kind of what started our shaky ground, because I was noticing things, that I would feel like, okay, he kind of is joking, laughing through the answer to this question, when I'm like, no, but for real. Like, over here, you're telling me that you want to do 5 things, but over here, you're like, I'm so solid right here. And I'm like, but you just told me yesterday that you wanted to do these other things. So it just was kind of like not feeling genuine. I'll just say that, which is kind of what the demise was. It started kind of going
Okay.
downhill. Yeah.
So it said there were several things,
Mm-hmm.
except this whole leadership questions or where you're going to in life. What other thing happened off camera? Because he also said it that the problem was actually off camera. So what was the deciding factor that made you feel like, oh, I'm no longer interested?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I felt like when we would get on camera that he would, and they didn't even show a lot of the things that maybe we both are talking about. I don't know what he said. So, for instance, okay, he would do something nice, right? And then I would feel like when we get on camera, you immediately bring that up. Like, let me get credit for this thing that I did nice for you, right? And I'm like, is he doing it because did he do it to be nice, or was he doing it to get credit? So even though you really didn't get credit because they didn't show it like on the show, but during the process, I don't know what they're going to show on the show. I don't know. But I was like, I feel like every time we get on camera, he says something that he did for me, before.
Can you give an example?
So one example would be, okay, when we were at the house for the retreat, he went to Sprinkles and got some cupcakes because my birthday was like coming up in a couple days, and had we were all in the kitchen. He's like, they sang happy birthday to me or whatever, and it was like, oh, cool, thanks or whatever. As a surprise. And then when we had that date where I had the gold shirt and I was saying like, are you ready for a relationship or whatever? Like, as soon as we get on that date, he was like, so did you like your cupcakes or whatever? Or, there's more gifts where that came from. It was like he was trying to let me know like, oh, I'm gonna give you all these things or whatever, like all the time. And I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know. I'm not big on, yes, who don't like gifts? I love gifts, but that doesn't get me. Like, you're not gonna get me by giving me things, right?
Right.
And I'm looking, okay, thank you, but let's talk about this real stuff. Like, you still have to talk about the stuff I need you to be talking about. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, and then my birthday came and I was depressed that day. I'm not gonna lie. So
I'm sorry, when is your birthday?
April 14th.
Okay.
So this is my first birthday without my dad. And I didn't realize how much that was going to be, affect me. And my dad's birthday is April 20th. So that week was a tough week. This is like the last week of filming. A lot of the dates y'all saw, the last 2 episodes were filmed in like 3 days. Like, it was boom, 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 like filming,
Wow.
2 dates a day, all this stuff. So it was a lot. And then I was still like tender, in these moments. But my birthday, I literally was at home all day. We had the day off. And I just was sleeping all day. He kept texting me and stuff. And I was kind of like, it wasn't about him. I feel like he took it a little more personal. And I'm like, it's not, like, I'm just dealing with this today. And so he came by, even though he's not supposed to, we're not supposed to see each other, but he came and dropped off some wine. And because y'all know I love my wine. I need a brand deal for some wine because I drink so much wine during the show. But and like some tennis shoes that he had bought. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like, I'm trying to be grateful, but also like I'm not really in the mood to entertain, or like he wasn't trying to stay. He just kind of came and dropped it off and went. Cool. Well, 2 days later, we had the family date with his family. And literally, as soon as I sat down, sat my butt on the seat, he was like, so did you get your gifts? And I was like, now I could bust you out on camera right now and be like, yeah, I got my gifts. You brought them to my house. What are you talking about? Yes, I got my gifts. Like, I kind of didn't call it out. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, damn, like, why right now? Like, literally, as soon as I sat down. So I was just kind of like, my eyebrows started raising on him a little bit. Like, this your second time, bringing something else on camera. And then as it pertains to my dad, I really wasn't the one bringing my dad up. Like, I felt like he kept trying to bring that into it to make an excuse for why I was having the conversations I was having with him. I'm like, my dad ain't got nothing to do with this. Like, that's a whole separate track we're on. While I'm, I am definitely in a grieving phase of my life. I'm going to be doing that for a while. But that's not my issue. I've been in therapy for years. I just upped the session to twice a month instead of once. So I'm good. You know what I'm saying? But I just felt like it was like you're trying to trigger my emotions and you're trying to like take my attention off of what I'm trying to really talk about with you. And that was what started turning me off.
Okay, so if I'm getting you well, he was trying to use the gift to win you and the viewers because he would always mention whatever gift he gave to you on camera, hoping that he makes it onto the show. And it was always like diverting your attention to himself and trying to make you guys like trauma bond each other. That's like
I don't know if that's what he was trying to do, but that's what it felt like. It felt like you're trying to divert my attention from the things that what I'm talking about when I say stability. I'm not talking about your job. I know where you work. I know the CIO at the company. I'm like, I know the people. Like, so like literally when I would be asking him about like his career, I'd be like, well, what do you want to do there? Are you trying to grow in that role? Or are you trying to do something else? Like, mainly because I do know people at this company. Like, if you're trying to do something, I might could use my connections and help you out, or whatever. Not even on some just like, I'm just trying to know what's your vision for your life, right? It wasn't about do you have money? I'm not even tripping on your money. You know what I mean? Like, so it's interesting because during the show, watching it, you get to see what people were saying, their confessionals and all that. And I'm like, what am I really here for? I'm like, I'm not here for your money. Like, that's not even a question. Like, what? Get out of here. But I am a person who everybody who knows me knows that is what I do. I'm a connector. Like, that's what I do in my life. I'm always trying to figure out, who can I introduce you to because you do this? Oh, I know somebody who does that. Let me get y'all together. Like, that's literally how my brain works. But if you don't know where you want to go, even within where you're at, like you wouldn't even say you want to be the manager or you want to be the, like, you don't want to, you don't know what you want to do. So then I'm like, okay, like you don't know that, but you also telling me you want to do comedy, you want to day trade, you want to, like, it was all kind of stuff that weren't in alignment. It wasn't like stuff that
Right.
it was different things. So I'm like, you seem like you're still trying to figure it out, which is cool. I respect it. I love it. Honor it. Great. My dad was 42 when he changed his path on what he wanted to do, and he had a plan and he executed it, did it successfully. I respect it. No issue. But for me, where I'm at in my life, I'm looking for someone who is fully established in what they're doing. And if you're not, you already have a plan for where you want to go. I'm not in the building phase with people right now. I'm just where I'm at. I'm not trying to start from the bottom and build like that. I'm just not. And
So it almost kind of seems like Phil was using you as a
before we go back
storyline
into the
in a way.
questions, looking at the comments, there are two questions before we proceed. Someone asked, was he intimidated? and another made a comment which I wanted to address, that you were just looking for issues.
Why would I be looking for issues? Like, I really like Phil a lot, but I know that I'm not no fool either. You're not gonna be able to easily, not saying that he's manipulative, but I feel like I am very aware and I do have discernment. I'm not gonna just fall for the okie doke. I'm not out here just desperate to have a man just so that I can have one. I'm good. I've been good. If I want to go on dates, I can go on dates. I can go on dates every night of the week if I want to. I am not going to waste my time in a situation where I feel like it's not going to be of value. So it is what it is. They can feel like I'm looking for issues. Whatever you feel like I was doing, okay, that's fine. It is what it is. But I definitely don't. I mean, I don't know. I think that he definitely wanted me to pick him so that we could start dating after the show. Like, I felt like I was asking too many questions that maybe he didn't have the answers to, and was just like, well, after the show we could just start dating and then we'll figure it out. And I'm just like, no, that's the whole point of the show, is to figure it out right now and then go from there. But I'm not gonna just, and again, me and Phil, after everything was all over, we were cool. And I reached out to him. He was definitely not happy at the end. And I waited and I was like, hey, are you good? Like, are you good? Are you good? You know how you are. And I'm like, well, when you're ready, let me know. And we can go sit down and chat. And we sat down and dug all the way to the Rudy to the Tootie on this, went deep into the whole full 9. And we were just fine. We've been cool all the way up into them last 2 episodes just aired on TV.
So why did your questions get more? Did you start having more reservations than you had at the beginning?
What do you
Because
mean?
it's strange. It's strange that 10 episodes, I don't know how many weeks that was.
So it's 6 weeks, right? So 6 weeks. Think about this. 6 weeks. We didn't have our first date for 2 weeks. So 4 weeks now, right? And then every date you have is on camera. There's only so many dates they're putting us on. Then we're having to go through all these questions and the things that they're telling us to ask about. And mind you, before this, I probably would have totally dated Phil before if it wasn't on the show, because I wouldn't have even been asking all these questions in real life. Probably, I told him, I said, it probably would have been a year from now by the time I had asked all the stuff that I'm asking you now, because Aries don't be asking. I don't really be asking that stuff. That's probably why, I should probably be asking this more upfront in the first place. And so this show made me ask questions that I would have normally not asked in real life. Way sooner, way quicker, than I would have wanted to. But when I ask you, I need you to be answering me with sufficient answers that I feel comfortable with. If I don't feel comfortable with it, I'm not about to just sign up or say yes to something that I don't feel comfortable with, period.
So was there something that happened that made you like get to the point to where you're like, okay, I'm gonna start asking these questions. Like, I need to know what's going on. Was it not, besides just the timing that you had, like, was there a certain or a specific situation that happened that made you kind of shift a bit?
No, it was just it's just in general. So, like, for instance, I will say that some stuff they didn't put on, it was other things. It wasn't just what y'all saw. There were other stuff that wasn't brought up on camera, which I feel like editing kind of messed up a little bit when they had showed a scene of me saying something about his son's mom. Well, when we were on that family date, his family brought that up. They brought up the son first, and I was like, should I be asking questions about the son's mom situation?
Wow.
Because I felt like when I brought up, they were like, do you have any reservations? And I wasn't gonna. I mean, again, I didn't want to have to say that to his family, but I'm like, well, you asked. So, yeah, I did. And he kept referencing stability as in him now working this job that he's in town and not traveling. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm not talking about your job. Like, I never was talking about his regular 9-to-5 job. I'm talking about you having all these other things that you're trying to do. And she was like, well, what about, his son. And I'm like, well, I have kids too. I'm like, but also I did mention that it is a deal breaker for me if you have baby mama drama. Like, I work damn hard to have a good co-parenting situation. And the last thing I'm going to do at 44 years old is be dealing with the baby mama stuff. Like, I don't got to do that. And honestly, I don't usually date dudes who have kids younger than mine. And that's one of the big things for me is that, you know, you only broke up with your son's mom a year ago. So it ain't like you just, your son is young, you know, and y'all just broke up a year ago. I'm trying to understand, what does that look like? What is established? You know, how does it look? And one of the things when we were on that bike date that came up was that. So they chopped that up a lot, but it was way more to that conversation than what was shown. One part was the child's mom. And I said, so what do you think? Me and you are dating and you need to pick your son up or something, and I'm with you. Like, how do you feel like she's going to be? He was like, I don't really know. Care. Like, he was real nonchalant about it. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make me comfortable because, and I even said, I said, for instance, let me give you an example. My ex-husband, he has a girlfriend, now fiance. When he knew that he was going to bring her around my kids, he brought her to my house. And we sat on this couch and we talked. And my son, on the way here, because they picked her up from the airport to come to my house, on the way for them coming to my house, my son said to her, I can't wait to see my mom's emotions when you get here, right? Because he's one of the ones that's like very in tune with how you are and all that. And he said, I guess she asked, like, what do you think she's gonna say? Right. And he was like, she's gonna be like, hello, how are you? You know, basically saying that I'm gonna be polite, I'm gonna be nice, you know, whatever. So when they got here and they told me what happened, we all laughed about it. And I was like, well, at least he didn't say I was gonna knock you upside your head, you know, or test you out, you know, and stuff like that. My own child knew how his mom was going to behave. So you're telling me you don't know how this lady gonna act?
Right.
You know,
Or that is not a concern. Like, those are some things you need to speak about, especially if you're going to date someone else. Because, yeah, who wants that drama?
And so that
just
was
like a man.
I don't know how she's gonna react. You can easily be like, you know what, we're cool. She ain't tripping. We out here. Like, it could have been a very simple conversation, but I felt like it was always like, well, you know, I mean, all I know is I'm gonna be the one handling it. And I'm like, come on, calm down. Like, we're not doing that. So, you know, for me, it's like, I'm a person who wants. If I'm someone that's in my life, I need to know what your life plan is looking like. I'm not just hitching my wagon to anybody. I'm sorry, other people, y'all want to go do that. God bless you. That ain't my. That's not my story. I'm very. I live in a life of peace. Literally, my own son can tell you right now. They're like, it is peaceful here, and that's something I want to keep. So it's dudes that I've dated that make multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. It ain't about. It really ain't about the money. It's about, because I could be like, oh, I'll just date somebody who got money. Okay, the last 3 guys I've dated made over $300,000 to $500,000 a year. It ain't about money. Because if you got kids that's wild and crazy and some drama, I still don't want you. I don't care if you're making $500,000. I'm good. That's interrupting the piece that I've created and worked really hard for, and stuff like that. So for me, it's not even about that. It's just about, and I don't expect a lot of guys to make as much money as I do. You know what I mean? Because I know that I am in a certain bracket that a lot of people, you know, may not be in. So I'm not tripping on that. And again, I reiterate, I don't think that Phil is not broke. He's not, you know, whatever. That's not the issue. But I do want to know, where are you going in your life, if you're trying to connect your life to mine, period.
So
that's really beautiful.
I mean, that's just facts. Like, spoken like a true queen, okay?
And I'm just one of those people like, I don't feel like, you know, somebody I see in the chat asking why am I single? Because I want to be. I can be in a relationship if I want to, but I'm not just gonna be single. Is a state of mind. If you ain't single, you married. If you ain't married, you're single. So I don't have a problem with being single. I love my life. I'm happy. I don't feel the need to have a man. As you can see, I've been married twice. I don't have no issue getting a ring put on my finger if I want to get one. I could get a third. I just don't want to connect it with anybody that is not in alignment with where I want to go. And if you're not there, it is what it is. And, you know, like, some people need to have a man. I don't need nobody laying in my bed that bad. I just don't.
Right. And Kim Timms said it great. She's single because she's not settling. Like, I don't know why people feel like if a woman isn't choosing a man or always in a man's face that she's damaged in a way. It's almost like, you get treated like you're just, something's wrong with you because you don't want to deal with the drama and the male ego sometimes because that's just too much to deal with. Who
Yeah,
wants
and
to deal with that all the time?
I feel like, also that again, there's a stigma around me being divorced and I got kids and I done had two husbands. Okay, well, there's a lot of people that have multiple kids with multiple people and they're stuck with them for the rest of their life. I got one person that I got to deal with.
Hmm.
And I'm grateful for having my kids. Like that was one of the best things that helped me actually to be where I'm at today because of the motivation around being, their mom. And so I don't think that my value is not connected to anything outside of myself. It is connected to who I know I am. I know that I'm worthy of anything good that comes my way. I just don't look at things like that. Chris Hush. He swear he got some real sister wives. I was about to
Like,
tell
what kind of question?
Right. He's too much.
but
Listen, we got questions for you too, sir, whenever you decide, you're ready.
right.
So,
Look, I got Mary Bell been coming to my house since I was pregnant with my first son, so she could come clean your house for you if you wanted to. But yeah.
so let's
So
get
why
back
do
to it.
you think
Go ahead.
oh sorry, I just like to ask a question before it gets out of my mind. Why do you think they made it like the problem between you and Phil just financial problems? Is it that the show could not get the full scope of it, or they just focused on it because it was almost even outside? It's like he said, "Oh, it's other problems," but he still references the whole financial issues. Why was it that in his confessionals he kept mentioning finances, finances, finances? And that's why everybody was like, "You are sounding like a gold digger" and all those kind of things. Like it was
Right.
just really weird.
If you
Hmm.
actually go watch the show, I never brought up finances once. I never said anything about finance. I said stability. You can go do all the things that you dream of doing in your life. Go chase every last dream. That is beautiful. I don't want to connect myself to, and I even said this, I don't know if they're going to show it, but basically, if I met him and he had 13 job, you know what I mean? Go and it was doing what it do, great. But to start brand new things, new ventures, it takes effort, it takes energy, it takes a lot, So go do that. Like I'm not in a phase of um supporting that type of thing. Right. That's just not where I'm at. Listen, both of my husbands did better when they got with me, okay? Because I am a helper. I'm going to come in, I'm going to be trying to help you do the things. I'm going to be doing that because that's just who I am as a person. I know how I am. So if I get with you and you have 4 other ventures outside that you want to do, I'm going to be trying to help you, with that. I don't have that right now. I am in a whole different phase of my life, where I'm trying to be in a more stabilized phase where, you know, I want to get with someone who is going to show me some new stuff, teach me something, let me learn something new, experience something new, you know. And that's just what it is. On that day when we were on the bike date, what it was a lot of things where he asked, like, what does this guy look like that you are actually looking for, or what does it look like for this stable person or whatever it was. And I said, well, someone who when I said the loyalty, the security, all that, I said someone who is already established and doing what they're supposed to be doing, or what they feel like their purpose and passion is in their life. Someone who is able to expose me to something new. And I want to learn from someone. I would love to be in a different position, where I'm not the one that feels like I'm going to be more of the one kind of bringing this person along. So.
Okay. So you said you done with the Aries upgrade platinum edition. I got you.
Yeah, I think that there becomes a time in your life where I'm just in a more I want to chill. I've done a whole lot of grinding myself, over the years, and I have respect for people who want to change and move around and do a bunch of stuff. God bless you, but I just ain't. That's not where I'm at right now. So, you know.
Okay.
Totally understand.
So I mean that's completely understandable. So let's talk about. So during the reunion, so Quilla ended up bringing up Phil's financial situation. Do you think that that has some sort of trigger with him? Like, do you think maybe him filing for bankruptcy is a trigger or is a part of maybe his not wanting to fully communicate about his finances?
I didn't even know about that. That's why y'all saw my face like, what? I know
Mm,
that I know nothing about no bankruptcies and all that, but to be real with it, none of us would know anything about it if he didn't say it. Nobody would know anything about any of the things that you're complaining about if you hadn't said it. Like,
mm,
I was tripping watching the show because I'm like, there were conversations you're having before me and you ever. Y'all just started the last 2 episodes where I'm talking about stability. I ain't never said nothing about that man and his finances the whole show. He brought his stuff up every single time with Keyra and Kat on that date, with my friends on the friend date. You tell your story in a way that we don't need to know every single thing that has happened in your whole life's journey. Are we all laying our full resume out every single time we talk? No, just be like, I've been working at this company for 4 years and this is what I do. It wouldn't have never been a topic at all.
right.
Say
You're the
that
one
again.
volunteering this information. Nobody asked you to show no paycheck stubs or do any of that. Like, it was not a question. It was not a conversation to be had. So I just feel like sometimes we talk too much. So, and maybe you just say every little thing. I mean, I appreciate him, trying to be honest about like that, but it's just some stuff that everybody don't need to know all that. Like, I'm like, how does lady know about you filing bankruptcy in 2008? Like, that was a long time ago. So, and also I feel like she was just being mad because she, I guess I don't know, she wanted them. I
I
don't know.
feel like she
I
Googled
can't
some
even
shit
know
right
nothing
before the
about
reunion.
their path, like what happened with them until sitting at the reunion. I was like, why is she so mad?
She
Like,
wanted him definitely.
I'm like, I don't get it. And
Mhm.
so, you know, mm,
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
like the way she acted with Habibi. Like, well,
child, I don't know.
I have my opinions about that, but we're
That
gonna
ain't
keep it
Keep it.
we're gonna keep it classy.
right.
So I'm going to ask you three questions in one because I feel like they are actually aligned. So one you said, okay, most people do not know this. So did you guys speak or did you guys try to reconnect after the show? And what were your plans if you guys spoke after the show? And if his plans were actually aligned to yours, would you guys have dated? And what especially triggered you from Phil that reminded you of your past relationships?
So nothing about him triggered me from my past relationship. I feel like that was a cop out. He was just trying to find something outside of himself. That is why I didn't pick him. Why he kept saying that something from her past they got nothing to do with me. No, what I said was, loyalty and security were the things when I mentioned that weren't there in my past. Those are other. That's totally different conversation. Um, which he has his own issues with loyalty in relationships that he spoke about on the show. So, those are the things that I was mostly, highlighting in that moment. But nothing about him necessarily triggered me. It's just a matter of I know that again, back to what I was just saying earlier, that I just know where I'm at in the phase of my life. I'm like, I'm not here to do starter. I'm not doing startup. like when it comes to like different, not like that, but you know, like I know he got a job, y'all. He got a job. But I don't want to just. It's a lot. I'm not trying to do that. But yes, we talked after the show. We talked in depth about everything that came up as a result of the show. I feel like we have been good. Me and Phil have been cool. No, we did not date, but we have gone out. We've kicked it. We've been out with the group. We've done a lot. You know, we were cool. What I didn't like was that when leading up to these last two episodes, I knew our story was about to get more highlighted because all the drama had ended with Chris and all that stuff. So I sent him a text being like, hey, you know, like, you know what's about to come up. You know, so like, don't get caught up in the minutia of everything. Like, we're still good. I'm still glad you're the person that I was, you know, connected to on the show. Like, we're good. He did not respond to my text, and I feel like he started being distant with me once the world started calling him broke. And I'm like, I never called you broke. Me and you've been good since forever. And now you're being mean towards me. Not mean, but like basically not communicating with me, you know, during this time. And for me, you get weird with me, I'm done. Like, I'm up here as a real
Period.
person, your wife, who we've established a friendship. I feel like we've been communicating and texting the whole show. You came to my house and watched the episode of us on that first date together with me. And then when everybody in the social media world started saying that you broke, now you got mad at me. And I'm like, how you gonna get what I do? Like, we already worked through our stuff, you know? So now you're mad because they're calling you broke. And he wanted me to basically get on the internet and take up for him and be like, he ain't broke, y'all. And I'm like, the particular group, he's in the Facebook group doing that. And I'm like, I don't even take up for myself in there. I ain't took up for Chris in there either. I ain't took up for nobody up in there. They're talking about my mama up in there. They were talking about my family. I don't care about these people. Like, they don't know us in real life. So the fact that you care more about the internet than someone who's right here in the flesh that is actually your friend, I'm cool with that. So I don't talk to him no more.
Right, Miss Nisi. Poor little Tink Tink. He just
Yeah, I was like, no, I don't do that. I'm like, how you gonna get mad at me about something that other people are saying when you know you're not that? If you know that's not who you are, you know you're not a bum. You know you got a job. Why you sit here trying to prove yourself to these people? Like, if I
right.
every single thing that people say that, not to say that I haven't replied to certain stuff that people said about me. You know, I'm gonna say certain stuff, but I'm not about to go to bed and sit up here and be like, no, you know, it just was too much for me. And I just felt like I'm right here. You could be talking to me about this, and you're not. And so we'll keep talking to your internet friends. You don't need to talk to me. So that's where
Yeah.
we're
I
at.
mean, I do think as a grown man, like you can defend yourself. And if you're giving the cameras what they're editing, you're giving them this information. There's only so much that they can work with.
He's the only
So if you're
one who talked
giving them
about
this, you gotta take
finances.
accountability.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel
Right.
like you gave the content. I didn't. I just said that honestly, I felt like, and this is genuinely how I felt during the process, that I was actually not saying everything that I would have probably said on camera to protect him. Stability was the nicest thing that I could say on camera,
Mm-hmm.
like not be saying crazy stuff about him on camera. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, this is the nicest way to try to say it. And then after the show, we talked in depth about it all. And I feel like he still understood where I was coming from, and we were good. Like, there was no rock unturned when we talked after the show was over. And for that to be where we were and for how we are right now, I just was like really hurt by it, to be honest with you. Because I'm like, I sat here and reached out to you before these episodes even aired. Like, we know what's going to be coming up. We don't know how it's going to be edited, but like, let's stay in alignment here, you know, or whatever. And he just totally was like,
Unaligned.
yeah. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, see ya.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm really a loyal friend, and I'm the type of person where I will have your back, you know what I'm saying? But also, we're talking about the internet. You know what I mean? Like, some of it is a little more like, we know who we are. So you don't need to prove, that. For somebody say you're broke, like that's like somebody on here be like, she a gold digger, and I be like, I don't know gold digger. Like I'm not about to sit here and play with y'all. Like I know what I am. I'm not about to do that. So like it's kind of a joke. So in my mind, I'm like, you're not broke, you got a job. Like, why are you fighting this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
So it felt like you're more concerned with the optics of it all, kind of back to what I was saying on with the gifts and the whatever. I'm like, so are you concerned about the optics more than real life? Like I'm right here. You're about to lose a friend over the internet. So that tells me how much you value actually what I am in your life, even as a friend, like after everything. So I ain't got time for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the family meeting, okay? Because listen,
The
I,
eyes of
I think
judgment.
we all kind of felt the judgment. We felt it. It was strong, okay? It was
Strong.
there. So like, so do you feel like your family was exceptionally hard on him? And like, did they come with any preconceived notion? Like, did you speak about him beforehand? Like, what was that? Because I'm telling you, your mom came down hard. I was ready to go back to
Woo,
church.
the
I was like,
side
you know
eye.
what?
That was who they are, just period. Like, and also I think my family knows how hard I've worked. They know how hard I've worked. They know what I've been through. I told my mom, and that was my best friend. I told them, talk to him like you would talk to any person that will be coming to talk to your child or your sister. I didn't have to
Mm,
tell them anything. I just like with my friends when we had the friend day, I didn't tell them anything about Chris or Phil. I was like, I know what I feel. I'm the type of person that I'll just be all in love and I don't even be looking at this stuff, and not even tripping or asking the hard questions. Like I said earlier, I'm like, I wouldn't ask him none of this stuff for a year. Then my mama,
I was gonna say, is this your mom?
my mom said, yes, she is.
Wow.
And there go Kim Tibbs. That's my friend. She was there too. So, but they know who I am and what I do and how I am with my kids, how I work, how I am with my co-parents. It's like they're looking like this dude better come correct. Like that's just how it's gonna be, period. So honestly, the questions weren't hard questions. And honestly, they didn't show his answers to a majority of things, and it was not good. I told him after, I said, you were terrible. Like your answers were so bad. And it wasn't like they were trying to stump him or anything. The questions were like, what are your leadership qualities? He started going into his job and I've led teams at work and stuff like that. And then my best friend, so they cut that out. And when my best friend was like, in a relationship, like, let's talk about the relationship. And then the first thing you say is, I'm gonna piggyback off of her. They're like, hell no.
Yeah.
My mom said actually in the real life was like, she takes care of us. She takes care of a lot of people, in our family. She's like, I'm like a pillar person in my family. So the last thing I need is a dude that's piggybacking off of me. I'm sorry. I need someone who's gonna be there for me. Who can I go to? I want to trust that you are going to be able to lead a family. Can you lead in my life? And yeah, we're not walking off and getting married tomorrow, but I still need to know what type of person you are, what type of, can you handle it? Like, can you be like, I got it, babe. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna take care of it. Yes, I do want you to include me in decision making and things like that. But can I trust that you can make a decision without me?
Right.
Like it's almost the opposite of what some people think of, like, oh, you just want to do who's just gonna come in and just make a decision without considering. No, it's not this or that. But it also is like I would love to be able to trust that you can handle things on your own and not be looking to me at all times to be the problem solver, the person coming up with the solutions and things like that. It wasn't like it was rocket science questions. These are regular things that should be answered. So when he was all irritated that here she goes, she talking about security. I feel like it's finance. No, it's not. I want to feel comfortable. I want to feel like when I'm in the car with you, I'm like, I ain't gonna worry about nothing because he gonna make sure it's good. Sit down, back. Don't you? I got this. Like that is sexy to me. Like if you looking at me, like, what we gonna do? Where we going? I don't. That's not cool,
Right.
you know. So I need to know. What she say?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the
exactly.
reason why he must have answered that way because recently women do say that, especially like women around my age, we want men that want to like listen to us. And I
Mhm.
think he just did not gauge the people he was speaking with because most times women want like in charge men, not like controllers, but like men who can take charge in certain situations. Because
Yes.
you remember you were on that panel, I was actually of the opposite opinion because everybody has the kind of man that they want. But why I was sort of disappointed in his answer was the fact that you've definitely had conversation with Aries. You know what kind of man she wants. So for you to go in front of her family and still not know what kind of leader she wants her man to be, it was very disappointing.
Yeah, and I feel
Mhm.
like, maybe he was trying, and there were so many times during the filming I kept saying, "Be yourself. Like, don't be what you think I want. You don't. A lot of times when guys are like, "What kind of guy do you like?" Don't worry about it. Be yourself, and I'll let you know if you are that. Like,
Mhm.
don't be what you think I want. And one of the issues I have is guys will look at me, assess what they think they see, and think this is the type of chick she is. This is the type of dude she gonna want, and not actually try to get to know me. Get to know me, learn me. You'll be surprised at some of the things you may discover. People put my dad was a great man. He was not rich. I don't come from money. Just because I said my dad was a professional baseball player, I don't come from money. Back when he was a player, they weren't making money like that. And he
Yeah.
went through a struggle of finding himself because he was all about baseball. That was just like somebody who would, what they call it, post traumatic sports syndrome, when somebody had a dream to be this and then they don't, that ends, and then they have to figure out their life. He went through a lot, and rebuilt himself up to become something. And so I respect that kind of thing, but don't think that you understand that without trying to figure that out. My dad, even when he didn't have money, he was still thinking provision, man, like just the type of man that I like. Like, he's going to be thinking about the family, thinking about, that more than himself. That's what motivated him to be, to work on those things. So I respect that type of leadership, when it's like you're putting us first, in your life. So, it just didn't connect, and I had to be honest with myself about that too. I'm like, this is probably not the type of, although you can have all the good feelings in the world about someone and realize that they're not the right type of person for what you need, the type of thing that you need in your life. So that's really what it was. Again, Phil is not a bad guy. I think it just wasn't the right, in real life. If more people did this, there will be less I think drama and just in your life. It's like you can like someone and be like, oh my God, I like him. We get caught up in all that and not really looking at what we know is best. And I think that he'll definitely find someone that is all about what he's about, and it will be great. Um, I'm just not that person.
But did you have like a chat with him later on for him to clarify that leadership comment? Because I
Mhm.
think he was trying to make the viewers like him with that
He was trying
answer.
to be inclusive, and I appreciate that. And guess what? A lot of women was like, I don't need no leader. I don't need nobody to lead me, because everybody want to be, they want to be the one leading. Girl, go on and lead him. He maybe that'll work. I'm just, that's not my thing. And if that's what you want to do, then that's great. There's plenty of people out here that love that. And I also, again, no, I don't want some caveman who's gonna be trying to put me in servitude. uh, you know what I'm saying? But there's a way that you could, someone said, what are your leadership qualities? You know what? Me, I lead by example. I try to be the best version of myself so that I can be someone worthy of following. I also have, there's so many ways you can answer that question without being like, first thing you're gonna say is piggyback off of me. Like, don't piggyback. I mean, you on my back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I'm not. My back broke. I don't have none of that. I don't want that. Let me piggyback on you. Let me get on your back.
You said that date was bad with his answers. Honestly, from what we've seen, we could tell like it just okay. Do you feel like he was purposely like giving listen, Father forgive me, dumbass answers to these questions he was asked? Because I feel like
I
he
really feel like he was nervous on the date and he really wanted to answer them correctly. He knew that it was bad. Like after the date was over and we had to there's a lot of stuff you gotta do after the date is over and the person walks out. They're not leaving right away. Like I'll get ready to leave. I could see it. It was bad. Like he knew in that moment, like this was terrible. Like it was just like this was a very bad date. Like, and it is what it is. I think that even with my own sons, my youngest is the only one that really is like liking girls right now. And I'll tell him, I said, if you really want to be that dude, I said, but don't do this to no girls except for the ones you really like. I'm like, I would be asking them, let me speak to your dad on the phone. And let them know my name is Marvin. I'm a straight A student from such and such middle school, and I just want to know if it's okay if I speak to your daughter on the phone. I think because don't nobody do that. People don't have no conversation no more. They don't have to call the phone and ask the parents to speak to the kid. I'm like, that dad gonna be like, oh, he a straight A student, and he okay. You got some respect. Your
bring back courting.
You know what I'm saying? Like there is something to say about you taking charge of a situation and just being like, I can handle things. Like I'm doing this already. Instead of being like, don't ask me you asking me too many questions. You overanalyzing me. He would say that to me all the time during the thing. He'd be like, quit overanalyzing. I'm like, I'm not overanalyzing. I'm analyzing. I need to ask. Why are you tripping on me asking the questions? There should be no issue with me being able to ask you things. You can ask me. Ask me whatever you want to ask me.
Yeah.
I don't have no shame in my life. You can ask me about my husband. You can ask me about whatever you want to ask. I don't care. Like I feel confident enough in myself and who I am as a person that if I show you who I am in real life and you don't resonate with that, God bless you. And we can move on. It's just not what it is. So I didn't like that whole narrative around like, oh, she's grieving. That's why. And again, when we got to the end and they edited the final pick, choose you date thing where he had said his speech and then I did not say right away like I want to respect my man. That wasn't my first reaction. My first thing was thank you for the things, blah blah blah. And I was like, there are some things that I just don't feel really comfortable with, so I'm going to choose myself. And I tried to keep it very general. And then he said, yeah, I know that's why you're not, you're grieving. That's why you're picking yourself. And I was like, I said, let's be clear. That's not why I'm picking myself. Like literally we're like going in a back and forth kind of. So by the time I get to the part of like, I want to respect my man. It's almost like it was a little combative. But even with that, even once I finally got it all out, and again, when I talk about respect, it's not like, oh, I just don't respect you as a human being. I do respect you as a human being, but I want to look up to my person. And I told him, even in that, you deserve someone who is going to look up to you, who's going to, be that for you. I want that too. And I don't feel that we have that. I definitely know if we're being honest, there's certain people you're like, I'm not about to be listening to nothing you tell me. Like, I don't even want to put you in that situation to where you say, babe, we need to do this. I'll be like, you don't know. Like, do you even know? Like, just being real. Like, maybe it's the quiet part being said out loud, but let's be honest. I'd rather you have someone that is like, I'm going to just be like, you are, no, I knew I wasn't feeling that. So I will be real with you, but I did feel like it was kind of this back and forth of you trying to kind of still push that narrative of like, you're grieving. Hush. I'm not grieving. I'm grieving, but that ain't why I ain't picking you. That was not you know. And then
Yeah.
when we hugged at the end, he said, "You still didn't cry on TV." After he hugged me, after after giving me that baseball and all that, which I felt like you're trying to trigger my emotions in this moment, and I could not get with it again. I just, you know, that same narrative was coming, and when he said you still didn't cry on TV, I'm like, were you trying to get me to cry on TV?
So he
Like,
felt like you were supposed to cry over him?
over the
Maybe with
baseball,
the
I guess that
flower
was,
or the
you know,
baseball.
in, you know, production, they do a lot. There's a lot of gifts that they buy. So I'll just put it like that. It came off. He was like, I would have took that baseball. Well, how was he gonna take it? That production should have took it if they was gonna take it, because that was they don't want the ball. But anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, it was
Sounds
just
crazy.
Donadi, she has answered your question.
hmm.
Huh?
Because Donadi asked, did Aries give Phil an apology for the choice of words on the bridge?
What should I apologize for?
I want a man I can respect.
What should I be apologizing for? What's the apology? Help me understand. Maybe they need to tell me what I need. What should I have? What's the what? I'm confused.
Maybe he did, people see things in different perspective. Maybe to her, she felt like, or I don't know the sex of the person, but I'm just like inferring. Maybe to the person, it felt like you were demeaning or depreciating his like manhood by trying to say that you want a man you can respect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that I was depreciating anything. I think I was being probably honest. And maybe some people aren't used to people being as honest, because what you can't say is, as a woman, that you have not been, like I said earlier, if I can't trust what you say out of your mouth, I'm not going to respect you. I'm not going to have a certain level of respect for you. Yes, I will. As a human, okay, yes, we're going to respect people in general. I'm love all people, God bless you, all that good stuff. But there are gonna be people who, like, if you tell me about something that if I question what you're saying, or I feel like you don't really know what you're talking about, you're gonna feel like I don't respect you. And I know that men need that. They want to feel that their woman is, that's big to them. Like, that is how we feel about love, right? Like, we want, oh, I want you to love me and all that. They want the respect. And I want to respect my man. I want to be like, yes, babe, it's what you said. It's exactly, I got his back. I'm gonna be right there, right behind him. I'm gonna stick beside him. Okay. But if I know that I'm not gonna do that with you, I'm not gonna sit here and play with you. So
Right.
maybe people aren't used to hearing it. They're used to feeling it. I bet you felt it before. But again, that wasn't the first thing that I said to him. I felt like he was kind of going back and forth with me at that point, and it pushed it out of me. It wasn't the first thing that I was gonna say. I tried to keep it very cute in general, but I feel like once you start trying to use my dad as an excuse for why I wasn't picking you, I felt like that was very manipulative of him, and I didn't like that. So I'm like, okay, so now yeah, we're gonna have some issues in this situation. Don't try to make it seem like, oh, you're grieving, that's why. No.
That
And
was very, very distasteful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it did seem like he was ready to like run and cry after you was like, no, I'm not gonna choose you. It just seemed like you hurt his feelings.
And he
So
was
do you feel like maybe that was why?
no, he was being real cool with me at the filming. After we finished, we hugged. He gave me his little thing because it wasn't a butterfly thing, and it was hot and humid, and I was wet, and all that. Once I walked away from the place, I texted him, was like, "Are you good?" And he was like, "Yeah." He went to the place that we went on one of these dates, went had some dinner, whatever, and then we had to see each other the next day at filming. He was being very distant at that point. So he was, still kind of in his feelings about it. I had to go over and say hi to him because he was kind of acting like he wasn't going to speak. And I'm like, so I could feel the energy. And again, all those clips that y'all are seeing for the last 2 episodes, he filmed that day. So he was in his feelings. So all that pull away and go away, all them little liners was because he was in his feelings, or whatever. And I gave him grace for that. And watching it, I was pissed, but I did give him grace, kind of just being like, okay, I know that he filmed that the day after the finale. He was in his feelings, so I could, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just a lot of that. But then also I was from like, okay, it's one thing to save face and be like, I wasn't tripping. I knew she wasn't gonna pick me and da da da. That's cool. But don't lie. Like, don't act like you said I choose. Oh, I heard him say something like, I choose you to be a friend that I ain't gonna leave behind or something. I'm like, you did not say that. Like, what are you talking about?
No.
I choose you to be a friend. That's not what you said. But God bless you. You
Say
to feel better than that. Okay. But anywho.
So let's move on past Phil, because
We've
it's
taken too
just
much time talking about
yeah.
Phil.
I got 5 more minutes.
You know, and like at this point, I'm starting to feel like, in a way, maybe he was starting to, and I could be completely wrong, but in a way, it seemed like he was trying to use you as his storyline. So maybe as far as like him standing on his own, is he's not as capable to stand on his own.
I mean, we were each other's storyline because we were each other's. I was really his main connection, right? Like, for most of the process, he had me, and mainly just me. So yeah, we were. And Chris has met my mom at this point, so y'all, she loves him.
Okay.
But anyway, so we were each other's storyline, but I also think that, sometimes when you're trying to save face, you can, lean a little more into other things and make it seem like it's something else. To me, I feel like it just wasn't a connection at the end of the day. I think we both wanted it to be one. We did. We both did. It was a point in time where it was like, oh, if I go home, I'm take my woman and go. Like, we just gonna be gone, or whatever. And then it's like, but other things, again, we have 4 weeks of stuff unfolding. It's just like dating. You start learning more. Like my friend said, collecting data, right? It's like you start being like, oh, in the beginning, we like, oh yes, I like this person. I like him. I like him. I like him. I like him. And then you ask one question, you be like, I don't really like your answer to that. And then you kind of go a little more, you be like, this ain't looking good. That's normal. So when people be like, she should have self-eliminated, why? Why would I do that? I'm up here trying to learn more. And then when things started getting kind of sketchy, these were, let's say the family date was like on the 16th. The brunch, the final brunch was on the 19th. The family date was on the 16th. The bike date was on the same day. I had to go change clothes and we went on the bike ride after that. The 19th was the group brunch, and right after the group brunch, change clothes, family with my family. And then the finale was on the 21st. So that's like a couple of days for all these conversations are happening. It wasn't like something that happened all season. It was literally like 2 days of conversations where I'm like, hold on, and he didn't answer that. So I got to ask him again on this date because he didn't answer that. And now we're talking. So it's the whole thing. It was a lot of time to figure out.
Fair enough. So how did you feel about dating multiple people who's also dating multiple people?
I loved it. It was great.
Ooh.
I loved it because I've been single for 10 years, y'all, now. Okay, like really only dating for real, probably the last 6 years or something like that. I love it because it's open. Everybody already knows. Ain't no, I tell the guys, you got Chris and go date everybody. Talk to everybody. Because by the time when you pick me as your person, then you are solid in knowing that I'm the one for you. I want to feel the same way. And I'm gonna be out here dating and I'm gonna be doing the same thing. So I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
That's why me and Kat and Lee always talk about the sister wives because we're like, we can be dating. Okay, go ahead, girl. Let y'all do that. And we always like, oh, I didn't get no Versace's.
Right. Hold on, Chris. Wait a second.
Nobody even got
Is
any gifts.
right?
I
Where's
It
Aries
was only he
and
that got something.
It was like you
right?
got
Where's Aries and no? We need Aries and Cat's gift. Where's it at, Chris?
no, that's what he was like. He was like, you got a private chef and all that. Like he always be like, that's our chef every time, he come around. But it's like, so I'm like, hey, Los Angeles, where my son? Whatever. But so that was just a joke. But I feel like it is what it is. I feel like we all doing it right now, anyways. You just not telling the other person, or they don't know the person, or they don't get to see it in person. So I feel like it was definitely a unique situation. But I liked it. I wasn't tripping.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? So, seeing as you did not get any partner from the Ready to Love, what exactly do you need? Like, tell us your spec.
Child, I don't even. I'm tired. I'm traumatized. I am traumatized, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't like to list out things because people will try to conform to be what you say. And I think that I just want someone that connects with me. The vibe is gonna vibe. We're gonna get to know each other, and we'll know. I definitely, I'm looking at character. I'm looking at how you move, how you are with other people outside of me, and how people feel about you. Um, and just your track record. Like, do you have a positive track record behind you? Things like that. These are, I don't like to give it like, oh, he needs to look like this and be like this. And like, no, but
So,
I'm
you don't
looking
want
at,
to find man?
of course.
Tall, dark, handsome.
But that's like perfect, right? But I think that you don't have to be fine, like you can be, I just need to be able to look at you. I need to be able to be attracted to you some way, shape, or form, right? Like I'm not one of those
Mm-mm.
that wants to do that's in the mirror longer than me. um,
Mm-mm.
so
I
yeah,
like my man fine.
just have
Just
good
saying.
character and be someone that's actually wanting. I'm not about to convince somebody to be in a relationship. Like, if that's what you want, then be about it. Be persistent. Be someone who's going to actually pursue. Like, I'll meet people who be like, "Oh yeah, I like you. I like you." I'm like, and then you don't say nothing until you see me post something on Instagram. And you be like, "Oh yeah, girl, like you forgot how I look until you see me post something." Bye. You just playing, So. Like, you just remember what I look like to
Chris,
me.
really?
Oh my God, Chris, come on, please, really?
No, for real, we do be running for Instagram. Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
As long as you're better than Cody when it comes to your sister wives, so we'll give you a pass.
I got like 2 minutes because I actually got to take my son to the orthodontist in a minute.
All
So,
right. We're
um,
almost rounding
Yeah,
up.
we're rounding up, so we'll actually go through these fairly quickly. So let's just go ahead and jump to this because you were on another dating show. You already admitted that. We know. How does Ready to Love compare to the other dating show you were on?
totally different because this one was like this right here was the dating. I'm talking to the person like this. Not as much time out of my life. Not as long, of a process. Very, very different experience. So yeah, this was something else. And then watching the editing, it was just like you have no control over any of that. And that was just not fun to see the little pieces of things that they felt after you sat there for 14 hours and y'all gonna pick that man rubbing my feet as the only thing y'all gonna show us doing at the house. Rude. Disrespectful.
They almost made it like he had a foot fetish, and I think I might even said that on the panel one time.
I said they should showing me cooking in the kitchen and stuff for the people who was like, she don't even cook for her sons. I'm like, go away. That's not how it went down. But anyway, yeah, it was totally different. I would never do it again. And no, I would not do the ready to move because I ain't moving nowhere and I would not want to do this ever in life. No, at all.
So, would you ever do another dating show?
No, absolutely not.
Ooh.
Mm-mm. If they want me to co-host or something like that, for sure, but no, not.
That's actually smart.
No.
So, what other connections and friendships have you made outside of the show?
Kat and Lee are my girls from the show that I'm, talk to pretty much every day. Other than that, that's it. I'm still cool with Herbert because me and him were friends before the show. And then Chris, I talk to him every day.
Habibi.
I never exchanged numbers with Habibi, so I don't talk to him.
Listen, Habibi is in Dubai, aka Brooklyn. No, I'm
Yeah,
just kidding. I
Again, I'm a person who I'm not big on. I don't let people in my friend group easily. You have to I need to see the same thing. I'm looking for a person that I would be in a relationship with. The character, I'm looking for people that I vibe with, and I would actually be cool with. Like, I have castmates. That's what I would call them. If I see them, I'll be cordial, but I wasn't trying to be best friends with them during the show, and I'm not trying to be that now.
That's
Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
So, has your
for the last
definition?
question,
Go ahead.
last question.
Yeah.
You can go on. So to ask the last one.
Okay, so do you want to ask the last one?
So you can ask everything. So that she can
Okay.
go where she's going to.
All right. So I'm just gonna ask this one real quick, and then we're gonna get to the very last one, and then you can actually give some expertise real quick. So, has your definition or outlook of love changed since being on the show?
No, it's the same. I feel like I'm in a place where, in order for me to adjust my life to someone, they would have to be a person that would fit into my world, and that I would fit into their world, right? Like, are we in alignment with where we're going and what we want and what we're looking for? So the same thing, it still applies. This was just an experience of dating a bunch of people in a very short amount of time. I'm a professional dater now, because I've got paid to date. So that's it. That's pretty much it. But no, it hasn't really changed anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go
So
ahead with the last
lastly,
question.
before you go and meet our cousin, because now your children are our cousins. We're
Yes.
Right.
related now.
Right.
Exactly.
So what lessons have you learned from this show that you will take on?
What I've learned is that I have the work that I've put in on myself over the last 10 years after divorcing are really, I was able to put them into practice, and I saw them, and I feel good about them. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on. I gotta let them.
Thank you, Ashley. And just a thanks to everyone for being here and even being in the chat. We absolutely love it when you guys, are here asking questions and you're, interacting. And of course,
Okay,
we
sorry,
thank
y'all.
you.
Yeah.
I had my back door blocked. I couldn't get in. So the work that I've been putting in on myself, I feel like I definitely got to put it into practice in all ways, not just like even dealing with the ladies and all the drama that was going on. Like, I was able to come out unscathed by all of that. And so my emotional intelligence, like all those things you can teach yourself and learn and put, do all this work and not have a chance to really put it into practice. And I feel like I was able to do that. I'm proud of myself for not just going off of my emotion in the situation and really using my head and my heart at the same time during the process. So I do feel like I learned that it may not be, yeah, I'm that friend. But it may not feel good to say no, to someone that, you do feel like those good feelings about, but sometimes it is still for the best, right? To just part ways. So I'm proud of myself for making the right choice. I feel like it was the right choice. And yeah, so I think that and then also asking a lot of those questions up front, that I was forced to ask during this process. Again, I would not have probably asked a lot of those questions if I had not gone through this. Like, I realized that I was not dating intentionally as much as I was, as I had to during this process. You have to be very like on it. You're focused on dating, for I don't focus on dating. Like, I'll be like, I'll meet somebody and be like, oh, he was super cute, and and then the next day I'll be like, I don't really feel like talking to this person. Like, why am I talking to this person? Like, what are you talking to this person for? Like, what? I met this super fine dude the other night. He's like 32 years old. I'm like, what am I about to do with this thing? Like, what are you talking to this boy for? But he was hecka fine. I didn't know he was that young at first. But then I'm like, what? Girl, no. Like, this is a waste of time. So, you just start learning to cut stuff early, and not just, I don't have a lot of time to just be sitting here playing, with people. So, yeah.
Makes sense.
Hmm.
So thank you for coming on. This was a very long chat. I'm very
It was, but it was
informative.
very good. I definitely enjoyed this. We thank you so much for your time and answering our questions, and
Yeah.
just you've actually been with us. You are a part of the family. You've been on the panel with us and in the chat. So we definitely appreciate all the time that you give to us, and Chris and the rest of the cast. Kat, you're in the chat. Thank you for your time the other day. Chris, we're waiting on your appointment. Do we
I
need to
love
call your agent, sir?
you guys have been really great. I do feel like it's definitely family at this point. And y'all are my first interview, so
Aw.
I'm very
Thank
happy
you.
for the first one.
Well, hopefully it's not the last.
No.
So thank you to the viewers. Thank you, Aries. I'm sure no, we're ready to love. Maybe no, they'll send you some sort of like invite to do something.
I know. Y'all gotta
Just
watch the reunion on Friday. We'll see how that turns out. I don't know what they're gonna show. We don't see it until y'all see it, so maybe we have to come back after.
Yeah, we do the panel on
yeah,
Saturday, so
it's
we
true.
will
We
be
can do the
here.
panel with like
Right. I'm
other
gonna have to come check the
casts.
panel out on Saturday.
Yeah, we definitely need the cast. So, you guys go ahead and do a panel
Okay.
review party with us.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, thank y'all. Let me get out of here and
Yes, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
all
Stay
right.
safe, everyone. Stay safe. We love y'all. We appreciate you. Stay blessed, everyone. Bye.
Bye.